Welcome to another episode of the Cubica AMF Tech Tip Podcast. This is a weekly podcast where we take you on a journey through the fascinating world of bowling technology and beyond. As always, I'm your host, Orly, and I have a guest on with us today. If you're not new to the show and you listen quite often, you've heard our guest today. We have David J. returning, but if you are new to the show, David, as much as I've asked you to do it, I'm going to ask you to do it again. Can you let everyone know what you do with Cubica AMF and, what your title is with the company?
Sure, Orly, and thank you for inviting me back. My name is David J. I am a Max Training Specialist with Cubica AMF. I've been with Cubica as a Max Trainer for going on 8 years now.
Okay. And today's topic, we actually have a request. So, someone asked if you could give a breakdown on Red Pin. I heard you refer to it as Red Pin Frame, and then also Christmas Wheel. Since the holiday is coming up, if you could kind of let people know what Christmas Wheel is and how they could use it in their center, we'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. So Red Pin Frame and Christmas Wheel are both in the special games category of Conquer. They are absolutely, they're super fun and very useful. Red Pin Frame is the automated take in Conquer of what we would use the classic colored pin for in bowling. So centers will use color pins for multiple things. Color pin sweepers, where you get a color pin in the head pin spot and they'll strike win a prize. Also, just during maybe special events, doing the same thing, ways to give away prizes, generate a little bit of fun, and still have some competition going on. So with Red Pin Frame, the setup to create a session for Red Pin Frame, you would go to Setup and Bowling Setup, and then Special Games. And in Special Games, the tab Red Pin Frame, all of your special games require you to create a session. Each session then could have its own set of what I'll call rules. With Red Pin Frame, when you create a session, you would assign the number of pre-start games, the number of games that have to be completed before the game technically starts. Okay. That would be before the first pin could possibly appear in the head pin spot. You can create a hot shot, what it takes to win. It can be a strike, 9, 8, or down to 7. So you can create a session for maybe a fun league or a youth league that might take only 7 pins to win, or a strike all the way up to a strike. And then the number of available prizes. Pretty much how many prizes you're willing to give away during that session. So let's just say that you were doing Red Pin Frame on during Cosmic on a Saturday night. You're giving away some prizes and you want to limit the number of pizzas or free games or whatever that prize might be to, we're only going to give away 10 of those. So we would put the available prizes as 10. Then how are we going to actually run this Red Pin Frame? Well, Red Pin Frame and any other special game, they are activated through the lane options. So once you turn the lanes on, you can then choose the lane option for that particular opening. And in the lane option itself, you would go on the basic tab of lane options. You would click on the special games bar. And in that list that would show up would be all of the available sessions of special games that you have created. You would choose the Red Pin Frame session that you wanted, and it would be activated. Then you would send that to the lanes, and Red Pin Frame would automatically begin. Couple of things you need to know about Red Pin Frame. Red Pin Frame will run. You can play it on any of the traditional 10-frame games of bowling environments in Conquer. However, you can only see the red pin itself show up on the environments that actually have the pin display on them. So typically I would run it with Classic because it has the 10-pin display on the bottom left-hand corner. If you're not using one of those environments, the game will still run in the background. You just won't see the red pin move and randomly appear in any spot, in any pin spot. When it does randomly appear in the head pin spot, the message, "Congratulations, red pin frame, throw a strike to win a prize," will appear regardless of what environment you have. It's just a lot more fun for the bowlers to actually see the red pin moving from position to position.
Okay.
So I would, best practice, I would be using the classic environment when I'm doing red pin frame.
All right.
Okay. And then traditionally when we do colored pin bowling, we would have our bowlers, when they get a colored pin in the head pin spot, turn around or yell or contact the front desk, or if we have a lane monitor that's monitoring our colored pin action, then we would get their attention and say, "Hey, I've got a colored pin," and we would have to watch and see if they threw a strike, and then give a prize or say, "Oh, sorry, better luck next time." When we automate this through Conqueror, the benefit is that Conqueror keeps track of wins and losses. It will keep track of all the attempts. So whether we're watching when somebody gets a colored pin frame or not, Conqueror will always you'll be able to go back and Conqueror in that special game setup and see all of the wins and losses. A couple of ways that I've seen red pin frame used. I've mentioned the colored pin sweeper, or potentially an open play. I've also seen a couple of centers that use it as a luncheon bowl special just to get a little more interest. So we do red pin frame during luncheon bowl, and if you strike on a red pin, you get a free game or maybe a discount on the next luncheon bowl special, something like that. But again, something to generate some excitement, during just traditional bowling.
Okay.
So that would be the uses of red pin frame. When we start talking about Christmas wheel, Christmas, birthday, Magic Wheel Mistress, Lane Lotto, Mega Slot, all basically the same special game in a different environment with different animations. But the game itself, fairly similar. With Christmas wheel, again, we would have to create a session. And when you create a new session there, the things that you have available as far as rules go, so to speak, again, the number of pre-start games, how many games have to be bowled before the actual Christmas wheel game starts. And when we talk about pre-start games, remember, pre-start games are a global number of games. So if we are running Christmas wheel across 10 lanes, and we set the number of pre-start games at 10, that means that 10 total games have to be bowled across those 10 lanes before the game would start. If we set it at one pre-start game across 10 lanes, then essentially the first bowler on each lane would have to complete a frame before we had 10 frames bowled, which would constitute a game, and then the Christmas wheel game would start. In Christmas wheel, we've only got a couple of choices. The number of available prizes, how many prizes we want to give out during this session, and how often we're going to win. With Christmas wheel, if we decided we were going to have the Christmas wheel available and for like an hour for this group, and we wanted to give away maybe 5 prizes, then we would set the number of prizes at 5, and maybe we'd want to win every 3 or 4 times. So Christmas wheel would randomly start and choose and run, and would have a prize won every 5th time the game played. It works the same with any of those other games also.
Okay.
So Christmas wheel, again, I might run that during the Christmas holidays, during the day, anytime I wanted to add a little fun to my regular open play, but also give away some prizes.
Gotcha.
And again, when we do any of the special games, those are all enabled through the lane options. With Red Pin Frame, I usually create a Red Pin Frame lane option so I have it available, and I'm not having to remember to go back and enable that game, that special game, in a lane option. I already have that lane option available, and I can just, when I turn the lanes on, choose that lane option, and it's already there.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I know there's some quick reference sheets that are available in the marketing resource library. So if anyone is looking for those on Red Pin and on Christmas Wheel, those are in there. And if you have trouble finding them and need some help, feel free to send me an email, orivera@cubicaamf.us. I believe that's correct. If not, I'll correct it on the next show. Yeah, but those quick reference sheets are in there, and I know that'll help out a little bit. But David J., we appreciate you being on today. Yeah, with the holidays coming up, I think these would be some fun things. As you mentioned, Red Pin can be used, throughout the year, but it's also something, it's red. It's a Christmas color. You could throw a little fancy name on there, maybe the elf pin, or, and I think it's a great thing to do during the holiday.
Absolutely.
So until next time, everyone, make sure to share the show with any friends or coworkers, management that might be able to, use these shows to help them in the center. And we are looking forward to talking to everyone on the next show. Have a great day, everyone.